So, Bezat Hashem, we're back at the Libud Torah. Today is the 22nd, right? 22nd of the month of Av already. Monday, the second day of the week of Parashat Shabbat, Parashat Re'eh. So, Bezat Hashem, you weren't here yesterday, so we'll say it again. There was a big tzaddik in our yeshiva, his name was Rabbi Weiss, and he asked the question. He asked the question that how come, what's the connection between this next three parashiyot? Right? You have Ekev, Re'eh, and Shoptim. What's the connection? So the rabbi explained, he says that he saw it somewhere. It's Bishmo. He said it in his own name, but unfortunately he's not here anymore, so it's good. Every time I come to this parashiyot and I discuss this Indian out of this world, he said, what's the end result? The end result is, unfortunately, the Chachamim tell us, you want it or not, you're going to be a shofet. You're a judge. All your life you're a judge. We judge our wives, we judge our partners, we judge our people that we're doing business with, we judge the rabbi, everybody judges the rabbi. Everybody judges everybody, right? So he says, how can you be a true judge? How can you be an appropriate judge? So it starts from Parashat Ekev. Parashat Ekev is what? Is a heel. Said Rabbi Weiss, is that person, in order to be a true judge, you have to put yourself Ekev. You have to make yourself, as Rabbi Dadan said last week, that make yourself that you're nothing. Like a heel. Everybody's dorech on you, everybody steps on you, whatever it is now that everybody steps on you, you have an elevation of your neshama. What happens? You're Re'eh. Now you'll be able to see things. Since you're Ekev, right? So you've been a step on, now because you humbled yourself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu give you special zechut to see things. That's you see all the Rabbanim, Gdolim, Babasali, they made themselves nothing, literally nothing. Now they were able to see things, and what happens after that? Comes Parashat Shoptim. Now you'll be able to judge clearly every situation, right? And after you have to done the Kav Zechut, you have to judge everybody in the Kav Zechut. You have no choice to be a shofet, so we're all judges. But at least do it appropriately, and that was the advice of Rabbi Weiss. Ekev, make yourself nothing, but then you'll see, and then you'll be able to judge. So we continue over here on in Shulchan Aruch, right? Mishnah Berurah, Seif Katan Chet. So, right, so he said like this. He said, Chet is b'medina or b'toch hatchum. So the question was, when you're hiring, okay, so you hired a goy on a contract to work for you like today, very common in Florida, a gardener, right? They cut you the grass. Here, right? B'medina. So if the contract is in the city, that's what he's talking about. In the city, the Shulchan Aruch told us, if it's in the city, or at least in the vicinity of the city, of Techum, which is 2,000 amot, which is about 4,000 feet outside of the city boundaries, and is visible by the Jews, that everybody knows this belongs to you, and everybody knows this gardener is coming to work for you. And so there, he says, even if you did b'kablanut, right? לפיכך, הפוסק ממנו יהודי לבנות לו עצרו או קוטלו או לקצור לו שדהו אם הייתה מלאכה במדינה. So this job, you made a contract with the boy and you left him to do it on his own, right? And by the way, I called my gardener last week after we learned this a little bit. We go call my gardener and I told him, hey, no Shabbat. Every 2 weeks you're going to be cutting the grass, no Shabbat. No Friday night and no Shabbat. Because that's what he says here, Asur. So let's see what does that mean. It says Mishnah Berurah, Chet, Sif Katan Chet, right? You're there. Ben Medina, in the community, in the country, I guess in the city. Haynu betoch hayir. What does Medina mean? It means not in the country, because sometimes you have a country, but there is no city, right? You have many places that you have like empty space, empty fields in the country. But no, it has to be within the city grounds. It has to be mamash in the city, says Mishnah Berurah. Shehakeruya Medina lefamim. So sometimes we call a city a country. So Ish Mazliach adds over here something.
Country meaning like a village, like outside of the city?
No, country.
A country. Like
Florida.
The United States.
Florida. Okay. Right? Everywhere in Florida is a city? No. Florida is a state or a country, whatever you want to compare it to. That would be Medina. Medina is Florida. Okay, technically, I heard a lot of Rabbanim say that every state in America is a country in its own right. Right? And so it's a Medina. Medinat Florida, Medinat New York. In Hebrew, that's how we would say. Medinat New Jersey. So now, but there's a lot of empty space there. It's not a city. But so the good thing in Florida, you have city. City of Hollywood, city of Fort Lauderdale, all the cities. So that's what he's saying. He means in the city, not necessarily not necessarily in the country. Because we already said if it's outside of Tehum in the country, when it's empty fields, where the people are not coming to go there, it would be allowed to have a goy to work for you on a contract where nobody will be speculating. Here, the whole shot is the speculation. Even though you did sign a contract with the goy, I have a contract right now. I have a contract with my gardener to cut my grass. The contract is every time he cuts it, I pay him $60. Now he could choose whenever he wants to cut, but it has to be done every 2 weeks so I don't get a ticket. Okay. Right? Okay, so that's a contract. Even though we didn't sign a paper, but that's the agreement, that's the contract. I'm obligated contractually every time he cuts with the rest, every 2 weeks to pay him $60. But I'm not hiring him specifically on Shabbat. Okay, Tet. Then we said Tet, what about Tehum? So why does he specifically over here say that the 4,000 feet within the radius of the city? So he says like this, see Katan Tet, שרגילים אנשי העיר לפעמים ללך לשם. Again, the shot is that most people don't travel outside the city, but many times on Shabbat, people eat nice hearty meal, they want to go for a walk. So sometimes they walk and they go out in the field and they'll see. Therefore, the shot is still there. The speculation. On Yud would go on Le'anicha. So here, he's saying like this, what happened was, I made an agreement with him. Am I obligated to tell him not to work on Shabbat? Like I did Chumrah maybe, because Rabbi Nadan said, there are some Rabbanim who allow it. Right? There's some, we'll see, maybe there's a learning here. So it says over here, Asur Lanecha. So the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to allow him to work on Shabbat. That's the language. Now let's see Mishnah Berurah. Ita בספר חסידים סימן ש"מ"ח, it's brought down in ספר חסידים, מעשה באדם אחד, ששכר אינו יהודי לבנות ביתו בקבלנות. There was a Jew that actually hired a contractor, according to a contract, to build him a house, $1 million, I'll pay you, you build me a castle. והיה האין היהודי בונה בשבת. And what happened was, the goy was building it on Shabbat. והיו מתרעמים עליו ולא חשש לכך. And people would actually warn him, and in the end, he didn't care. Because he didn't do, what's his name? He didn't do any halacha, he didn't break any halacha. ולא היו ימים מועטים שלא נשאר הקרקע לו ולא לזרעו. And it didn't pass so much time that the land was confiscated by the king, I guess. Because again, it's Mishnah Berurah brings a story here, very rare. He's bringing you a story. He's telling you that in the end, the person's going to lose what he's not supposed to do. If you do things that you're not supposed to, the way you're supposed to behave, Kadosh Baruch Hu has no problem sending compensation for the sin. Okay? Yud Aleph. So let's see. Imdar ben Hayin and Yehudi. Okay.
This is even if it's a non-Jewish neighborhood.
So no, we didn't get that. Right now we're talking about specifically Jewish neighborhoods. Right. So now the Haggah added. Va'afilu imdar ben ha'enam Yehudim. The Jew somehow bought a house in a town, hick town of somewhere that there's no Jews. So he lives amongst the Goyim, right? So Haggah says even in that scenario, he should not allow himself to be working. What does that mean? So says Mishnah Berurah, what does that mean? Yud Aleph, everybody's with me? What does that mean? So he first of all, he lives outside of the 4,000 feet perimeter outside of the Jewish city. And then there is, wherever he lives, in even the distance out of his place where he lives, still there is no city within 4,000 feet. Even in this scenario, will be prohibited. Wow. Why? Let's see. Because people will come to his house, his guests. There will be a guest that's coming to him and will expect them. Says, where do we have a kula that we allow going to work on your property where you don't live there? If you live there, you hear? You live in a house. You're there all the time. A God comes to work for you. What are you doing here? In your mind, in your own mind already, the Shabbat is diminished. The Kvot Shabbat, he was going on here. That the whole kula is where you don't live there. Nobody lives there. No Jews around there. That will be allowed. He's doing B'Kablanut. He didn't hire him with Shabbat. He's doing B'Kablanut. Let's say you live You live in Hollywood, Florida, and now you hired a guy to build you in Naples over there. You know those you have so much acres. So now you want to build a hotel. Build me a hotel. I don't know what you made a business next year, and now they're going working there for 24/7. It's their problem. You hired them a kabbalanut. There's no Jews around. You don't live there. Not a problem. Not a problem. That's kabbalanut. That is allowed. That's what Berurah just told us.
But the whole problem is Marit Ayin, right?
Right.
So if the problem is Marit Ayin, you're having guests and they're selling the only people in town, and you tell them straight out, by the way, this guy, I pay him for a job.
The problem is the children will not understand what you're saying. Right? There's children. We already said that, mentioned that. Your children will not understand what you're saying. They'll say, yeah, your own children and the guests' children. So you explain to your guests. You're right.
Say again, if the boy is working for you here.
In my house where they have guests, yeah. I have guests, they're going to come and they're going to suspect. So forget about it. Let's say you explain to your guests. Like, Yaakov is asking a beautiful question. Yaakov is a beautiful question. So let's end over here. He's saying a beautiful question though. He's saying that what? The Choira, I'll tell them what the story is. So maybe they have a child and children observe. The most easiest thing is to pull a child. Unfortunately, they will think the Shabbat is not so important. So everyone needs to make parnasa, lechot, parnaso, b'shefa, b'nacha, b'simcha.
Amen.